This is Mike and Shaun with Talking Tickets, and we're here to recap the 2023 National Sports Collectors Convention.
What's up, Mike?
All right, long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a couple of days, hasn't it?
Well, we got back. I believe I came back on Sunday from the convention. You left Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday also. Yeah, Sunday morning.
All right, give me your thoughts.
All right, we'll jump right into it. This was easily the best national I've ever been to. And just talking about tickets, only tickets, I've collected other things and I enjoy looking at all the other stuff that they have and all the booths and everything. But man, best ticket scene, best people, the events, just making new friends. It was just a tremendous time. I really had a great time, and I can't wait for next year and planning even more for next year.
How many years have you been?
Oh, I probably 4 or 5. I don't, it's been, there was the COVID year that there was no national, and then ever since probably 18, I think, was the first one that I went to. But yeah, it seems to be getting better every year as far as the amount of tickets that you see at booths, not necessarily booths that are only tickets like yours, but just it seemed like every booth that had anything other than cards had some tickets, even if it was just a handful here and there. But something to look at if you're a ticket collector.
Yeah, I think my first one was in Cleveland in 2018 or 19. And I think there was one booth that had tickets that I remember. And I don't know if any other booth even had, maybe sprinkled about. And I would say there were 3 or 4 dedicated booths and then 100 plus with tickets sprinkled throughout the show.
This year, I think there was more than that. There was yours and Mark and a couple others that were just dedicated to tickets. And then, of course, there was Jamie, who we've had on the show, and he had a bunch of World Series tickets. I think he had some other stuff too, but it was, a lot of World Series tickets. And then there was the guy who has all the Super Bowl tickets that's at shows all the time. I don't know who that is, but you see him at all the shows. And then, like you said, probably 100 booths that had something ticket related. I saw a couple boxes full, like where you got your big score, where it's just kind of a box full and you're just searching through to see if there's something that in there that interests you or that you recognize. That's always fun. But there was 3 or 4 booths that had that were just full of random old tickets. And then of course a lot of World Series stuff and Super Bowl type things that some higher end tickets here and there. But yeah, great. Lot to look at for sure.
Well, I would say from a vendor's perspective, being set up on a booth, I was blown away. I mean, the first day I got there, Wednesday, until about Saturday at noon, I was just slammed. Just people coming up to buy, people coming up to sell, people looking to trade, people looking to talk. Like I didn't take a breather. I felt like for 3 days straight, where last national I was getting bored because I was just sitting there like, oh, it's just kind of hanging out and just like a lot of shows. I set up in Dallas and it's so card intensive. It's not a lot of action, but holy cow, this year was crazy. And what blew me away the most was so many people coming up with tickets to sell. I'll show some of the things I got, but I think combined with all the people that we had from Boogers and the outing we did at the brewery, we'll show some pictures. It was amazing seeing so many collectors out there just meeting up, hanging out. And, for those who couldn't make it this year, I'm like, man, if you can make it next year, I think it would be really worth it because, it's not so much seeing the tickets that you're buying and selling and at the show. It's also the camaraderie of meeting all the people and hanging out and, going to the bar or restaurant afterwards and BS until midnight. That was a blast.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. And that's worth the trip by itself, because not only just from, a social standpoint, but the networking opportunities to get to know other collectors face to face and develop relationships with them that have similar collecting interests that could benefit you in the future, in terms of trade or buying. I think it's invaluable experience, and that's kind of what the meetup was about, and also just hang out at the show at your booth or at Mark's booth when it's just full of ticket collectors kind of roaming around.
Yeah, it was like a horde. They were just like locusts from each ticket booth hanging out, and
Yeah.
there'd be 5 or 10 people. Then you go to the next one, there'd be 5 or 10. I didn't get out of my booth too much because I was so busy, but I did want to show, things I bought, and I have kind of pictures of a lot of the things I sold or similar things. What
Hmm.
do you want to see first? What I bought, or what I bought and kept, or what I sold?
What so before that, what kind of do you think that a lot of people were seeking you out because they see the show, or do you think that it was just they
No,
brought
I think it
tickets?
was a lot of randoms. Like people had stuff, just got graded. They saw a sign that said buying tickets. They were just showing up, live in Chicago,
Mm,
looking to make a quick buck on what they owned, try to buy stuff at the National. So it was really great setting up because I had a lot of people just said basically, I don't know what this. Half the people was, I don't know what this is worth. What will you give me? And the other
yeah.
half were basically like, I have a good idea, and what will you give me?
So, do you think that if like if you had it to do over again, would you bring a different inventory, or do you think that
No, I think I brought everything I wanted to sell or possibly trade. So it's a good mix. I sold things as little as $10, and I think my highest sale was 4,000. So it kind of ran the gamut, where last year was all like 20, 50, 100, 200. This year was, high hundreds, some low thousands sales. I'm talking everything from big to small.
wow? Well, let's see it. What'd you sell first?
Uh, let's pull it up. So what did I sell? So this is kind of a hodgepodge. I didn't get it all, so I just threw all these pictures up, and I had some saved. So this was like a random one, like Cade Cunningham NBA debut. I saw a random dude in a Cade Cunningham jersey who I don't think collected tickets. I was like, "Hey, you need this ticket?" He's like, "Man, I
Yeah,
do need this ticket." I gave him a deal like $100. I think it's worth more than $100. But things like that. That's why I kind of like seeing
yeah,
people who maybe not big ticket guys, but hey,
yeah.
it just kind of
And
here's
a
a
ticket
great
collector
deal.
is born.
Yeah, if you're wearing a Cade Cunningham shirt, you need a Cade Cunningham NBA debut ticket. So
Nice.
it's like $100. And little things like this, a Zimmer, um, Pedro
Mhm.
Martinez fight. I sold I think the same guy who bought Ravel's uh ticket for the slam dunk Vince Carter contest bought this. And I know Ravel was making some sales, and he didn't sell anything cheap. If he's
Yeah,
going to sell, he's going to get top dollar. I know that
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Other things like this is a super cool ticket. This was the Mahomes Baker Mayfield 800-yard, 700-yard performance that broke all those records. It was like a $50
Mhm.
ticket. Just weird things like that. WrestleMania, I think it was my first sale of the show. The guy actually said he attended this with his dad, so he bought it. Another non-ticket collector, younger
Yep,
guy. I
yep,
think he wanted to, I can either keep it or, give it as a gift to his dad. Like, hey, remember this? And be like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. Things
yeah.
like that kind of make it cool, not just, out there hustling or, just meeting new people who haven't collected tickets. Um, a derby ticket. I sold one of these. I had things that I love, but I have duplicates of. This was Secretariat 73.
Yep.
Buckner through the legs. I think like this was like I can't remember, like a $600-700. I think this was part of a trade.
Mm,
And the last one was pretty similar. I think like 600-700. Hand to God ticket. I thought this was a good deal. It's another duplicate I had. Great ticket. This is one I think that only will get better over time. But it's like, you know what? The case is huge. I have multiple. Let's put it out there. And I figured somebody would buy it, and they did. But you see like stuff all over the place. This is one of my bigger sales. This is a ticket I've had up on eBay for a while, and I found the right buyer, and I think it's an awesome ticket. It's
yeah.
Staubach Hail Mary ticket signed by both
Wow.
Staubach and Drew Pearson. So I thought this is very unique ticket. I have another one, and maybe the only two out there. I'm sure there's a few others that are both signed, but this could even get cracked and get that punch cancel off there and make it even better. And heck, maybe you could get a 10 auto and shoot a 10 ticket. I even think about that. I don't think it would 10
Yeah, because
ticket.
they're grading it without considering the punches now, so
Yeah, so it's kind
yeah,
of maybe some upside to this
could be a
ticket.
10-10. You could have just sold a
I
10-10
know.
like
Oh man, I should have kept the 10 potential 10-10. But yeah, love that ticket. Super cool ticket. Um Connor McDavid, David goal number one. The one I actually sold was a 10, so I didn't have a picture of that, but kind of gives you an idea.
Mhm.
This is kind of about $1,000 plus ticket. And if he goes on to break the record, I might have regretted selling actual number one, because I think there's some out there, but I'm surprised I haven't seen more. But mine was a 10, and everybody loves 10s.
Right.
Grant Hill debut. This might have been part of a trade. I think I
Yeah.
bought this on eBay a while back. But I only think I bought it because Grant Hill is on the ticket. It'd be something cool to get autoed.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I don't want to mess with it. If someone wants to give me a good price, I'll sell it to them. But man, you could get autoed right in that little white down there. It'd be pretty sweet, except it's got the big creases in it and everything. Oh, you didn't want to buy any of these tickets, Shaun? You just let all these slide by?
I think they were all gone by the time I got there.
Other one, I sold quite a few 10s to this to a Cleveland dealer. He basically was just going to flip them at his card shop. He says they're real popular. So I was like, man, here's a price. I've been sitting on these for a while. You want to give me cash? Let's do it. I think he was paying me like 7-ish a ticket, 700 for the 10s, which is a pretty good deal. And I think, there's a lot of these out there, but it is LeBron's title for only title for Cleveland. And I think true collectors or Cleveland fans will, long-term buy and hold these things. And that's the thing about a lot of these tickets. People, when they buy these, they're gone. Yes, you get people that are going to try to make a flip, but you don't see them again. That's kind of what I love about the ticket collectors, or people that kind of buy them to hold them forever. So a guy, Witt Jr. debut, might have been this actual one. Man, he's been on fire lately. So he's kind of like hitting his stride now. Now I'm thinking, man, is he going to put up crazy numbers now? I think he's batting like 270 something and almost 20 home runs and just been killing it lately. That's a really nice ticket with the inscription also. And you're not going to get high. You're not going to get a 10 on these tickets, or you shouldn't get a 10 because it's off centered.
Off center, yeah.
Yeah. But I think Beckett, actually saw them grade one a 10, but I'm like, ugh. Beckett and PSA, they're different. They're going to grade differently. So,
yeah.
Here, Shaun, I don't know how this must have been gone.
I have this one.
Okay, you have it. This is I think this big Seattle fan bought this. This is a great ticket. Yeah,
great
this is a really great ticket. If you're a Mariners fan, and this is nice, man. Auto 10. Like I said, I have another one of these, and it's the season ticket version. But man, these are really clean autos. Griffey, Edgar. I mean, it's a sweet, sweet ticket with these autos on there. So I'm selling good stuff. I'm putting things out there.
No question about it.
I sold this Cal Auto 9 Authentic. These tickets, I feel like if you they grade them really low at PSA. Like a super amazing looking ticket will grade like a 5 or a 6.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I feel like Beckett would be different. This one might actually be, I can't remember why I did it authentic. I think it was a long time ago. And I was like, you know what? It's not going to 9 or 10. Let's just do authentic ticket and auto grade. But I feel like Beckett would grade these differently than PSA. And I don't know if it's something to do with this like stamp they have on here, but it's really interesting.
They would. Well, so the reason why the stamp is there, because it was canceled as it's effectively a stub. They gave everybody the full ticket, but they stamped them instead of tore them, so they could keep the full ticket. So it's, you'd think that they would grade it with that in mind and not ding it for the stamp. But yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
If you go to their pop report, it's not what you'd expect for a ticket that basically people were as many as there are and saving and probably putting in their lanyard or their program.
Right.
This was my highest sale, was a Beatles last ticket, which I really didn't want to sell, but the guy gave me a really good price. I thought maybe I could, but it's a full and it's cool looking and green and all that. Mine was graded a 6, which was high. If you didn't buy it, I think I was gonna pull it, but then I was like, I'm not gonna say
Well,
I'm not gonna sell it now.
remember Mark's advice? If
That's
you
right.
don't
Well,
wanna
this was
sell
like
it, leave it alone.
a trade ticket and a high price. And the guy paid it. Usually I was moving some on my tickets, but I was like, man, I'm not moving on this. And he paid me full price. I was like,
Hmm.
hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, in hindsight, I don't know what I would have done, but we'll see. Maybe I can replace it one of these days, maybe not. Dion debut auto. This was like my exact ticket.
Mhm.
This was there's a ton of them out there and people were getting them signed, but I think in the long run, it is Dion. I just
Yeah.
hate his auto. I mean, look at that little scribble, thin. So I didn't love this ticket, so I was willing to part with it.
Yeah.
I sold a similar one to this. It was authentic. Uh, Ticket was authentic, and the grade it was all authentic, but it was like something that was graded a long time ago, and it's part of a deal. And I was gonna get it cracked, but I was like, somebody wanted to pay me my price, and they did. It was kind of a package deal. And man,
Mhm.
I swear I've been like tied to Jeter one way or another. Like I ripped wax the other day, like a month ago, and I got this redemption. And I like hit this in a $50 tops box. This
Nice.
freaking Jeter auto. And I don't even collect cards. It's at my buddy's card shop and we were bored and I just ripped it. And I have another ticket I'm going to show, but I was like, man, I'm connected to Jeter,
Yeah.
one way or another. Like people
Not a
just
bad
bringing
place
me
to be.
stuff. Yeah. So I think Jeter's a great, just another iconic Yankee that I think really can't do wrong with Jeter stuff. And he had so many amazing moments. Kobe, slam dunk. Man, look at all these. This was to a guy, first ticket he ever bought. He was a huge, big concert guy. So it was
Mm.
kind of a cool sale. I talked to him for quite a while. This was first MTV Music Awards where Madonna's rolling around on the floor.
Yeah.
Had a duplicate. That's the only reason I put it out there. But man, look at all these sales, man. A Live Aid. I was selling one of these like Goldberg, Hogan, Nitro. So this kind of gives you an idea. Reggie White first sack, Super Bowl II, man. I'm selling like crazy. And it was
Yeah.
very similar to this. I think I got a good price raw, but this is our Super Bowl III. This is the Namath one. I mean, but you can see like all prices, all types.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
All
I was just,
different.
like I said, I was just blown away by all the sales
So
and all what people were looking for.
in general, when somebody came up and was interested in buying something, did you negotiate or were you pretty set with?
Yeah, I was pretty flexible on tickets. There are a few items I was like, no, that's the price. But I kind of always listen to Justin, Sutterfield when he'd say, no matter what price you give people, they always want a deal. So we always kind of price it
Mhm.
maybe a little higher and be willing to wiggle
Yeah.
because, even when people were coming up to me and they didn't know what they had, no matter what number I offered them for their tickets, they're always going to ask for more. It didn't matter. Like they had no idea. One guy I think was willing to just say, hey, just take this from me. I just want cash.
Mhm. And so did people come up interested in trades, or is that something that you had to kind of?
No, mainly sales. So I had, like I said, I had a lot of purchases. I think I almost sold as much as I bought, and I sold, I think,
Hmm.
close to 15K in tickets, and I bought, I think, at least 10, right around 10K. Kind of give you an idea of the
Yeah.
action at the
So
booth.
just with tickets, not considering the money, do you think that you walked away with a better inventory than you went in with?
Oh yeah, I mean, I
Well,
can kind of you want
let's
to
see it.
see the
Let's
goods. All right. All right. I'll start off with your favorite, maybe one of my favorite purchases. This is definitely was a PC purchase. So this was WrestleMania 3, but it's a little different than what you normally see. And it actually kind of looks like a full,
Yeah.
but it's a stub 6. And man, it is just mint, immaculate, especially for a 6. Really cool ticket. I think a guy, I remember talking to him at Dallas. He had, I think, maybe up to 4, and he said he sold 1 or 2. I think one went on Golden a while back. And I actually bought it from him. Paid him a good price, but definitely a PC item. When I talk about Jeter, so this was almost a 101. until I find out it probably isn't. But so this is Jeter's 3,000th hit ticket, but it's a sweet ticket. So the 3,000th hit tickets are all like the vertical skinny with all
Right.
different players, but a
Yeah.
few have Jeter. Well, this one's a sweet, which is an amazing ticket. Or not 3,000. This is his last home game where he had that walk-off hit.
Right.
And it's autoed right here in gold. Super sweet auto. It did auto at a 9, which I'm okay with. But just the look of it, the uniqueness of it. And I remember at the brewery meeting, I'm like, oh man, this is like a 101 or showing somebody. And of course, he's like, oh, I have one like that. And I go, is it autoed? He's like, yeah. I was like, of course. Only
Yeah.
the hardcore collectors we know somebody would have that one. Mouse at the Palace was part of a deal I bought. Paid a good price for this one, and let me see. Is it up? So this was the Claude Lemieux, the famous fight that they had the 30 for 30 on between the Avalanche and the Red Wings, even where the goalies went at it. And it was this is a 101. I thought it was a pretty amazing ticket, even though I'm not a huge hockey guy.
Yeah.
The uniqueness of it, the full, I was like, you know what? I'll pay you pretty close to what you're asking for, even though stuff like that, there's not really any comps.
Yeah.
You know, for like that Jeter ticket and the Lemieux and the Jeter, like there aren't comps out there. So you're kind of just going by gut feel, just what you think it's worth. Things like that are tough.
Yeah.
And part of the deal, that Jeter one, I bought a Trout debut 9 auto 10. Really nice ticket. And I bought a 9 version of this that I already sold on eBay. Definitely not PC, but it was part of the package. And then 2 separate times within like an hour of each other, guys just walked up with, hey, I have these Bulls PSAs, Jordan clinchers. You interested in also a Jordan Kobe first game?
Wow.
Yeah, this one was a 4, really nice. Like I said, like an hour later, very similar, like almost the same guy, not same guy, but same people came up like, hey, I have these Jordan clinchers and a Kobe Jordan first game, and this one's an 8, except it's got some like writing on the back of the score. And then it's like, oh, that might be in pencil. Could I erase it, crack it, and erase it? I was like, I'm probably not going to mess with it.
Be careful with that. So did those people know each other?
No, it's just really random, like an hour apart. I think just Chicago people, a lot of Jordan collectors just got, I think, either graded on site,
right? Maybe,
or just had it, and they're like, you know what? This is it. They don't sell on eBay. I just want cash. Maybe I can find somebody to buy it. And I'm like, man, I'm your man.
Yeah,
come with it.
Yeah. Wow. So that's everything you picked up?
No, there's more. So those were the graded ones. So these are the raw.
Oh, okay.
So I'm telling you, man, I'm talking about me spending. Man, I was spending. This was a Clyde Drexler full NBA debut, which was, pretty cool. Really great shape. This was Ovechkin debut in this unique box office version. And I talked to somebody at PSA and they're like, yeah, that's just by looking at it, I'm pretty sure it's legit. Cause I was like, man, I haven't seen anything like this, but he said he's seen. Really nice. It's a little not 100% great. Jordan blue. Very rare to find a Jordan championship. 82 NCAA with Carolina. This is the blue version. The yellow is very common, purple.
Yeah.
But the blue is a very desirable version. And a thing, Super Bowl 4 guy came up, made a deal. He had 2. I bought one. I think I already sold one of the Super Bowls. So just action packed.
Yeah. Wow. So obviously compared to other years, that was just
unbelievable. Like when I say 10 times, it's been more like 100 times.
And what's interesting is that talking to Mark, and we should have Mark on again just to kind of go over what his experience, but just from what he said, he had a similar experience where it was just a lot busier than in years past. And so it wasn't just that you had amazing tickets. I'm sure you had amazing tickets, and I'm sure the people were drawn to your booth, but it seems like it was just tickets in general were very popular at the National this year.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of, all walks of life. Last year I think I sold quite a bit to like the fanatics crowd that wanted to get stuff autoed, stuff like that. But this year seemed like the true blue collectors that were just buying for the
Yeah.
love of collecting.
So what does that kind of tell you about the market in general and for tickets and compared to where
Man,
it's
I think right now it's just super really strong. There's some heritage auctions coming up. We'll maybe talk about next week with some
yeah,
numbers I'm being blown away by.
yeah,
Um, but it feels like, I don't know, it's just very interesting to see the numbers on heritage and see the action I got at the show. I'm like, man, I feel like as long as the economy stays strong, it's going to be really, really strong in the short term and at least, the midterm.
yeah, yeah. It seems like just in general, there was the huge bubble, and then a lot of people probably got weeded out after kind of it corrected the market. And I think that now you have just genuine collectors who are really into it still. And, we met a lot of those this past week. And they're very, very passionate, great, collectors who have been doing it for a long time, new people, brand new, but actual collectors into tickets for that purpose. So I think it's healthy, very healthy.
Did you pick up anything or have any items?
I dropped off a couple at PSA. Had a fun experience at PSA. I was lucky enough to get kind of a back tour of PSA. Got to see all the machines and the operation that they had behind the scenes, which was really cool. I had a couple that I dropped off. I showed these a couple of weeks ago. This is the Jay Leno
Oh
first
yeah, hold on.
show.
Let me get you on
Yeah,
single.
give me going solo. This is Jay Leno's first show, and then Johnny Carson's final show that came back in 8, I think. Let's see. Yeah. So had that graded at the National, and then I finally got my Jordan graded, which was a PR1 MK, which I expected. Of course, it has the paper loss,
Right.
but section number 23, which is
Oh, you always
the
got to point that
differentiator.
out. You gotta.
I had this one I just picked up before the National. It's the game where Lenny Randall gets down on his hands and knees and blows the ball foul. That's that famous
Right, right.
play that everybody's seeing on highlights. And this is a really cool one because the attendance at this game was only 6,000. So you don't see these every day. And I've had it on my list looking for it for quite a while, and finally popped up, had the opportunity. So this is the only one that I actually bought at the show. I was showing everybody this. This is Brett Boone's debut, which more significantly is the first third generation player in baseball history. And so this was in Mark's just kind of, extra ticket stack, and I found it. I've been looking for it for a while. So that was a good one. And and at the meetup, I actually made a trade, and I haven't received a couple of the tickets yet because he has to send them to me. But this was one that I got in the trade, and it's a Cubs ticket from 1949 where Jackie Robinson stole home for the 13th time. And this is my second Jackie Robinson steals home ticket. The gentleman that I made the trade with, he's a collector of these specifically, and he has 13 of the 20 times that Jackie Robinson stole home. And I have 2, so I'm not really going to jump into that collection, but maybe I'll use them for a trade in the future. But the other 2 tickets I got in that trade were 1947 Jackie Robinson rookie year tickets that I didn't have for my collection. So added that. I have some others too that I picked up outside of the National This one came. This one got a lot of attention. It was a lot that I won at on eBay, and it had Barry Larkin's debut in it.
Oh yeah.
Didn't have Barry Larkin's debut. I've never seen a Barry Larkin debut, and this is the first one that I saw, so I couldn't pass it up. But in that lot, there were some other cool tickets too. Like this one is Rob Dibble's Immaculate Inning. Um, some people collect those. Not worth a ton of money, but some people collect those. It was in that lot, and there was also two Barry Larkin first RBIs, which nothing great, but
Hey, you
a few.
got the debut. That's
I
what you
got the
wanted.
debut. That's really what mattered. Um, Going back to man, I have a lot of stuff to show that I haven't shown in a while. But the auction, the Hunt auction, remember that one? I scored this one, which is Monty Irvin's debut, and so this was my 62nd. That with the Larkin brings me to 62 Major League Baseball Hall of Fame debuts. And this was Monty Irvin.
Very nice.
So yeah, that's about it. I also this one I got from PSA not too long ago. I don't think I've shown it, but I showed the ticket before. This is Whitey Ford's debut.
Okay.
Remember that story? This came back a 4, which is the highest graded, but there's only 2 that exist. So that's a pretty good one. And that's it. That's all I've got for editions since we last talked, I think.
Did you battle in the auto? Did you get any autos at the National?
I did not. I did not. I heard a lot about it. I certainly had a lot of friends who were in that game, and I heard that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a real challenge. Did you hear, or are you familiar with that whole thing that went down?
Right, but how it got a lot of people got delayed to the next day.
Yeah.
And I love the story about how his wife or girlfriend.
Yeah. I think there was a video. There was a video on, and I heard the story, of course, before this, but there was a video of her just eyeballing a card and determining the grade, a raw card, because they charge by the grade. I guess if it's a higher grade, then they charge more for his autograph.
Like if it's a 1 through 3, you charge this 4 through 6. So she just eyeballs and be like,
so she's eyeballing the card like she's some expert. No, this is a PSA 7. This is
shoot. She might be an expert given some of the grades I saw PSA give out. They might
maybe
need to hire her.
Yeah, maybe they should get her on staff. So yeah, that was really kind of, I don't know, shady, I guess. Weird.
I would like to thank Howard. I was really busy at my booth, and I'm not an auto expert about going up there, so he hooked me up on a couple. So I got two. I got 2 tickets autographed. I was pretty happy about them. This was Emmett's record breaker, and he signed right there on the bottom. This is a really nice full. I'm curious. His game, it's really hard to find tickets that don't have this red mark because they gave out a bobblehead at this game. So like every ticket you see has this red streak on the back. So it just kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Emmett's not cheap, but and then this was Joe's sign the top. Came pretty good. I don't know if it'll 10. Be kind of curious. This is the catch.
Yep.
But pretty happy with it. And Howard is the man and got her done.
So Howard just came up and said, "Hey, what do you need?" I
think he had some time to kill on the Emmett one, and then Montana he was getting done. So I was like, man, I'll just do it too. And man, if you've done it, it's like nothing to you. But if you've never done it, I feel like, oh my God, am I doing this? Do I point? Do I just give it to him? Do I talk to him?
What do you do?
But if you've done it 100 times, 1,000 times, you know the drill. You just get it done.
Guys, they're experts at it. And
it is an art. Because I was talking about doing the Emmett with a paint pen, on the white part. Howard's like, no way. It's going to be probably not going to be a 10. It'd probably come out and smear, not come through. And then I had the pen and he started pushing on it. He's like, did you even prime this thing? I'm like, I don't know. I like prime what? Like I got to prime a paint pen. And I was like, all right, do it in the blue, do it on the bottom. Howard did talk about wanting to do the autograph in the white right here. But I was like, I don't want it right there. I want it at the top. I don't want to mess with the logo white area. So, and I saw
you usually see one or the other on that one.
Yeah, I like the top. I don't like messing anything close to the logo. And I was like, I think I would make it signed on the back. And Howard's words exactly was you would be a moron to do that. I was like,
Sounds like Howard.
I was like,
Um,
okay, maybe I won't
so
do that.
that kind of reminds me of a strategy that I was thinking you should do if you don't already, and that is look at whoever's signing and then bring whoever's signing on Saturday and Sunday, bring whatever tickets you have that are related to those people, because don't you think that they just sell a lot better because people are looking to do that? They're looking to go
Yeah,
get it
I put
signed.
that Emmett out though, and nobody bought it. And then I think Saturday or Sunday, I had a very similar one to this. It wasn't as nice. And the red streak actually came through on the front. And I was like, man, I don't want to mess with getting that autoed. And somebody like paid full price for it on Sunday or Saturday after the signing. I had a lot of Chicago tickets out.
Yeah.
The World Series, the Cubs I thought for sure I'd get those sold, but I only had one guy that was pretty close and he didn't want to give me, he wanted $500 off what I was asking.
Mhm.
So it's just, sometimes there's just not much rhyme or reason. You think, oh, I'm in this area, I'm going to sell X, Y, and Z. And next thing you know, those are the ones you did not sell.
So you didn't see a lot of people wanting tickets of people who were signing so they could go get them signed right
I
then?
never had any requests or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I put that Emmett out, and so I didn't see anything. I think that would be the smart play too. I put it out there and people buy them, but
Yeah.
I guess didn't register for some.
Interesting. So what else have we got?
I guess to go through the timeline. So, Wednesday, if you guys go to the national, man, I think important to get there day one
Yeah.
because a lot of the good stuff gets bought up. That's a lot of when the big collectors show up. Of course, you can still buy stuff on the weekend. But I've learned, man, my tables were slammed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I mean, those were the days.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? This you would think Saturday, Sunday would be the big days, but that's when people are just heading home, and it's kind of
Right. And Saturday's family day.
is
I
it?
had a family that would come up and they spent like 10 minutes, like pulling all the tickets out and setting them on the table and talking and showing his son,
Yeah.
and like, oh, wow, he's going to buy all these. He
Well,
calmly puts them back together, puts it back in
long
the box. He's
stories.
like, all right, thank you. And walked away. Like, man, I thought I for sure had a big
So
sale.
Wednesday, I thought, especially if you get the early entry or whatever. Well, I guess if you have a friend who has a dealer pass who can hook you up, get in early. It's the best time to go when it's not as crowded,
Right.
kind of, and you can actually get around. Um, and then I think on Thursday and Friday, then it starts to get really busy.
Yeah. I think Friday is just crazy. And Thursday's super busy too. And I heard the AC went out in some of the areas, and I hear
Oh yeah,
people talking about
it was
sweating and
bizarre.
BO and hot.
You
And
know, there was a lot of that online, and I thought it really wasn't that bad except for that one area. There was like one section in the middle where it was just really hot, but both sections on the side were, they were normal. Like
right,
where you were, it was fine. But yeah, where Mark was, holy smokes, it was hot.
that's what I hear.
Felt bad for them.
And then, like I said, Saturday's family day. Friday's crazy. Sunday, I thought I'd have a little more action. Sunday was dead, just dead.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of the broker or not brokers, booth vendors, they did stick around. I heard they're gonna be more strict. Hey, if you leave Sunday, you could lose your table.
Mm.
But man, I thought I had a flight at 2:30 and I 3:30 or at 4 o'clock, and I thought, maybe I could extend it and stay here longer. And by the time 2 o'clock rolled around, I'm like, I'm ready to roll because this place is dead. And I've been here for 5 days straight,
Yeah.
set up. So I mean, all in all, kind of give you the
What time did they close down on Sunday?
Sunday's 5, I think.
5 o'clock. Is it true that so a lot of people with cards and other collectibles, they claim that if you walk through on Sunday and just make
Yeah,
offers, just lowball offers, then you might be able to get stuff
I
just
I think I sold 1 or 2 on Sunday because I was just bored and basically I just want some action. And I sold a Judge, 10 ticket, 60-second home run for really cheap to a guy with his kid that I could tell wasn't a collector. I was like, dude, I'll do 200 if you take it. I think it was like $100 off my list price. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. It's like,
Yeah.
done. Let's do it. Question from Feed the Cat. How did the offsite ticket national do?
Well, the offsite ticket national, obviously Feed the Cat wasn't updated on the fact that it was canceled, and there wasn't any ticket national, but we did have the meetup, and the meetup was, I would say, fabulous success. It was so. First of all, thank you to Doug Velicki, who helped us, or who offered the site. He was the one who actually hosted us, and he kind of ordered pizza and picked up the tab and did he had lanyards for everyone for names and everything. I mean, it was amazing, and it was such a fun time just getting to know everybody and having a chance to talk to everybody who you knew or that you've met before or chatted with before but never met in person. I think we had over 30 people there,
Yeah, I
and
think I counted. It was at least 30.
yeah. Yeah, and it was just all kind of really hardcore ticket collectors, and just I the only thing I wish I had more time there. It was 3 hours and it just seemed to go by so fast because, just talking to everybody, and didn't get a chance to get to know everybody there. I see faces in this picture that I didn't even get to talk to while we were there. So it was great. I'm looking forward to next year already, and I think that we should plan even more for next year.
And Jeff says the meetup was worth our trip.
Yeah, that's
And I had a blast too. The brewery was super nice. It was great beers. It was like almost a perfect spot. We had our own little area in the back. Doug was a great host. Doug collects Penguins championships is one of his big things, and we need to help him find all of those. So if anybody out there
yeah.
has Pittsburgh Penguins clinchers,
Yeah, I think we should have Doug on the show if he's so willing to join us, because he is a ticket collector. He has a phenomenal following on Instagram as beer aficionado, and we could talk some beer, talk some tickets. But I think that would be a fun show.
but yeah, the meetup was great. Was that Friday night? Yeah, like I said, putting faces to names, names to faces was super, super cool. I know, what was it, one night we hung out, just BS'd with some other people on, I believe, Saturday or
Yeah,
night. And you can hit up the local. You went to the White Sox game. This is not just going to the convention. There's just other things to do when you go out there.
Yeah, yeah, and I think as I do it more as the years go by, you kind of get to know more people, and then every year you make more friends that you kind of look forward to seeing again the following year. So, I consider everybody in that photo a friend now, and a lot of them I didn't know, or had just talked to briefly.
Here's some ticket or pictures that I pulled from the Facebook group, just from the meetup. Here's my table and some of the guys that were hanging out. Ravel actually sold a ticket. Howard's happy. Ravel's not, because he sold. It looks like the Theismann LT game.
Theismann game.
Some more fun. Shaun looking good. Got Justin in the house. Matt Miller. Some heavy hitters right there.
Yeah, but great to meet Mark Nader finally in person. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, the legend, Lenny. One day we'll get him on Buckner, Buckner, right? On
Yeah,
eBay.
Yeah.
Some more fun. This is the auto. You want to talk about the auto chaos? That'll kind of just give you an idea of what it was like dealing with that mayhem.
I don't know how those guys do it. And let me tell you, every time I've been with somebody who's gone to get autographs, they are so exhausted after they're done. They swear they're never going to do it again, or they swear it just wasn't worth it. But they keep going back to that. It's
The
crazy.
mayhem. The brewery picture. This is kind of cool. We got Marino's debut sign full. Pretty nice.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think that was all of the picks I pulled.
Yeah. Lots of good stuff.
Yeah. It's almost, I think if you go to the national, you can give your tickets to people ahead of the time. I don't know if you can meet up with them at the National. Usually it's like, hey, you ship it to them and then they take it and they ship it back. I guess if you're in the know, you might be able to give it to them on site, but I've done that before, and I'd almost recommend that unless you're a
Does it
pro
cost
and
more
don't
to
want
do it that way, or just
no,
take?
it's kind of pretty much the same. It's just more you don't have the hands-on of you
Right.
doing it and getting
You
it
don't get to
done, the
meet them.
shipping and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's, but yeah, if you can't make the show, usually you can send it to the the hosts and they'll get it done, backstage before all the crazy in-person signings.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good information for the autograph hunters.
But yeah, that's just a big part of the show you kind of forget about.
So what do you think we should do next year that would further enhance the ticket scene, beyond just the meetup?
I think a trade night, that was kind of in the works for the offsite or the national ticket convention. But yeah, you could almost do a 2-night thing, or one's just a straight meetup and then the other's a trade night. I'd be curious, that could be something that work out. You could maybe combine the two, but I don't know. I kind of like the laid back vibe of the just, hey, we're just hanging out.
Yeah, and having a beer and just chatting and maybe laying the groundwork for some trades. I it would be kind of difficult to combine them because you'd need a lot more time. There were people who were trying to trade, including myself, and I actually made a trade at the brewery, but it was it's time consuming and it's not really what everybody's necessarily there to do. So if you had separate nights, one specifically bring all your tickets, and probably the first night do the meetup, so you can kind of get to know everybody, chat with people, who find out who has similar interests, tickets that they're interested in, and then the following night you do the trade night, and then that's when you bring everything and you connect, and you know who to connect with, and what kind of what the possibilities are for trades.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea too. One night game, maybe another night straight meetup, and then another night trade night if you wanted to go full throttle 3 nights.
Yeah, yeah. Going to the game was fun. That was definitely something I'm glad we did. It was very expensive though.
Really?
Yeah, the Uber coming back, I think, was $120.
Man, hit those trains.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's maybe that's the better way to go, um, but yeah, it was
One
worth
guy I
it.
wanted to bring up to you. This is maybe the craziest moment at the National, where we met a guy from San Francisco, and I gotta have Shaun refresh my memory. He's an
Yeah,
interesting dude. He collects tickets, but he also collects other memorabilia, and he collects one specific player.
yeah, yeah. He's a Mike Schooler super collector. He said he's going to watch the show, and I might have been the only one there that ever even heard of Mike Schooler or
Yeah,
remember.
who is Mike Schooler?
He used to be a closer for the Mariners in the late '80s, and he was the closer for the Mariners when I first started paying attention to baseball. And he had a very bad end of his career with the Mariners, where he gave up like walk-off grand slams on back-to-back nights. And I brought that up with this guy, and, and he remembered those games. he, he said he had what, 1,200 Mike Schooler signed baseball cards,
Yeah,
which that's
1,200.
got
I
to be a
don't think he
record.
was lying.
That's,
I mean, I
no,
think
no, he was legit fan of Mike Schooler, and good for him. That's that's some passion right there.
yeah, because I've met, crazy passionate collectors for a certain player, but I've never met somebody for
For
passionate collector for a player I've never heard of.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But he was a ticket collector. He said he was going to watch the show, so
Yeah, we love
I
talking
hope
to him. We just, man, that Mike Schooler thing, I was blown away by that.
yes, I was too. So we had a good conversation because I knew Mike Schooler, and I could even remember some of the games that he was referencing when we were talking. So he was legit. It was funny. It was great times.
So we had an Instagram post that people had some comments, and I kind of want to get your thoughts. I know you referenced it. So Chrome Slabs from Instagram on his IG story said, "Know your market," as they say. On average, ticket collectors appear to be over 40 years of age. Card collectors are usually 20 or early 30 somethings. The intent here is not to age shame. However, it would stand to reason that collector demographics will have a profound impact on any potential growth in a particular hobby segment. If tickets are to grow, I think the 20 something need to be engaged as well. I don't think this is talked about enough. I genuinely welcome other perspectives on this.
Yeah. Yeah, and you replied, to this, or at least you gave your thoughts on it on Instagram, right?
Right. And basically, I confirmed yes. I mean, it is, man, it is almost to a T, young 40s. But what I said about the young 40s is the collectors I've met that are ticket collectors seem to be more often than not very down to earth, very well put together. I would say successful, very financially secure, like do financially well, willing to spend, and are true collectors. And I made the point that card collectors, I put 20% I would consider true collectors and would buy things to hold till the day they die, where ticket people are probably 80%, where 80% of the people I meet who buy tickets, they're buying it to basically never resell it.
Mhm.
And then I think Ravel messaged me and he says not even close to 20% for the card guys. And I thought about it, I was like, you know what, man, it's probably less than 5%. And I think that's a big differentiator between the ticket collector and the card collector. Is the ticket collector, buying things to collect, not to flip and make money on. Yes, we all do it, or not all do it, but I see things that I can make money on. I'll buy it and try to resell it. But man, it just seems that's so prevalent in the card world. But on the age thing, he's right about super long term, getting more people involved. And I put something on Boogers the other day about I think it is important to have some kind of ability to receive a ticket at a game. They're never going away from mobile QRs. Like they're probably going to have whatever
Yeah.
in the future, retina IDing in your eyes, or who
Yeah.
knows what they'll have.
Yeah.
But hard tickets probably aren't ever coming back to get you in the game. But I think there is a possibility to get hard tickets once you are in the game, basically as a souvenir. And
Yeah.
getting teams to realize that that's a possibility, and it could be very financially profitable, especially for the massive games like the LeBron point record game. Heck, even the Messi debut game in Miami, 2 or 3 weeks ago, something like that. Super
Yeah.
Bowls, World Series, like tens of thousands of people would want their ticket. And I
Yeah, for
think there's
sure.
such an opportunity there. But what was your thought on that whole post? And
On the age thing, I think it's interesting because, when I was younger, I collected a lot of junk. I there was a you know, I spent a lot of years collecting just junk, and there's 2 reasons for that. 1, I didn't have the resources to buy the good stuff, and 2, I didn't have the education. I didn't know better, and it took a while to get to know that, and I think that that's why you see kind of older collectors who are focused on certain genres, like, vintage cards or type 1 photos, or the vintage game used jerseys or whatever, because they've been through a lot. They've made mistakes and they've learned from it, and over the years they've kind of refined what they're interested in. And I would put tickets in that category. And that, obviously I'm biased, but that's why I see it as, an interesting, a collectible that draws people who are a little bit older, because they know better, basically.
they've
And
been through the ringer.
been there, yeah, and they've made those mistakes. When I was a kid, I was collecting Jose Canseco rookie cards, and Eric Davis and Daryl Strawberry and all the guys who never panned out. Left with a bunch of junk after that. But that's I know Mark. He's the Chrome Slabs, and he's a younger guy, so he's got an interest in it, and I think it's a good conversation to have. But the the older dudes like, the vintage cards now, just like they did when we were kids, and when the young people are older, they'll like the vintage cars because that's what the best is. It's the same with tickets, I think.
Excellent, excellent point opinion. I
Yeah.
like it.
Very biased though.
True. Yeah, we are a little biased.
Yeah.
Um, Feed the Cat asked, "What was the most exciting ticket shown or offered at the National?"
Hmm. I don't know. I saw a full Ruth called shop for sale. That was
Where
that's
was
a
that at?
I forget whose booth it was, but it was 85,000, so it was a little high on the
Dang,
price. Um,
85K. I wonder if he had room on that.
well, didn't one sell for like 50? Not
Yeah,
too
I think 50 was like a 2 or 3 with a crease. I don't know
Yeah.
how nice that guy's
Maybe it
was.
was the same one, and that's the markup. Who knows?
Trying to flip. Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to think if I saw anything that was like, "Ooh, man, that blew me away." Of course, the Jackie debut was there, and that was talk about how was Shaun's graded less than
Yeah.
that one? How was that a 3? Then we got
Yeah,
into the
that
whole
thing has a
discussion about
crease
Beckett.
on it. You know, that I took a close-up photo of that. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future show when we go into this auction, but, the a high-resolution photo in person, it doesn't look nearly as good as it does in the photo on the Heritage website. I don't know if you noticed that, but it's got
Heritage,
quite a
man, they're pros. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen other auction houses be accused of that, where it's the photos kind of make the item look a little bit nicer,
Yeah.
especially with cards than it is, but it's graded, so then you just look at the grade and you say, "Well, that's what the grade is."
I think that's one thing I've learned talking to a lot of people is they said that in cards, don't buy the grade, buy the card. Don't buy the
Yeah,
grade, buy the ticket. I
yeah,
bought I'm kind of going that route more and more, especially on the older stuff.
yeah,
I look at the ticket and then look at the grade and be like,
right,
okay, does this verify it? Is it off? Do I care?
yeah,
No, I think
yeah.
this is just a nicer looking version. The other thing I took away, I had multiple people came up to me, so especially the hockey guys. Oh, so I heard I saw that you hate the Gretzky debut. I was like, I heard that
Yeah,
probably 3 times, the NHL debut. And I was like, well, that's more of relative. I guess I
mhm,
hate it compared to how much it's loved, but there was a large transaction of that ticket at the show. That's probably the biggest transaction I heard of the Gretzky NHL debut, and one got graded, and he was disappointed with the grade.
yeah, 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 I looked at that. It looked like an 8 or 9, but it was a 6, and, yeah, it's just another example of PSA. It's just hard to figure out the grades.
Yeah, especially on that vintage stuff. They're sometimes kind of all over the place and
Yep.
don't want to give super high grades.
Yep. Or something that shouldn't have a high grade has a 5 or 6. It's crazy. Who knows? We've been over this though numerous
It's
times.
it's been discussed.
Yeah.
Did you have any other insights? If anybody else had any questions about the national?
Yeah, I mean, other than I really want to put together something for next year, and I'm thinking it might be beneficial to try and get it sanctioned by the national, a trade night. You know how they
Right.
do these and then they'll promote it. I don't know what the process for that is. If anybody does, then help me out with it. but yeah, that's my goal for next year. Get a trade night, an official trade night for tickets only.
Trade night. I haven't looked at I have to look at that Indian schedule for next year because I guess basically it's always the same weekend, right?
Yeah, I guess it's not as good next year because there's only one team. Chicago
Yeah,
has
so
two.
it's a little tougher.
Yeah,
And next year is in Cleveland. It's not as convenient as Chicago. Like we had to rent a car because you got to stay downtown, then drive out to more of the suburbs every year. But man, start planning accordingly because you need to be there. If you're a collector,
yeah.
book that
Yeah, my
flight,
goal
book
is to
that
get a lot more
hotel.
ticket collectors, get a lot more ticket. And I asked around to numerous people who didn't go, and I, kind of asked if they were more likely to go or would definitely go if there were multiple ticket events that were, specific to tickets. And it definitely, just from the few people I asked, it seems like we would get a lot more interest if we had stuff set up like this. in the future.
I think so too. I was looking at actually pulled up the schedule. So man, next year, I feel like a game is in our future, maybe on that Wednesday or Thursday night.
Are they at home?
They're home. Their games are
Detroit
early too, from what I remember. Detroit,
yeah.
Cleveland, Detroit. Oops.
Sounds good.
So all in all, I think a great success.
Absolutely.
I think we have a big heritage auction coming up. Definitely want to go over that. We may have somebody else that was at the show set up, maybe get their insights. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But definitely like to communicate next week. We'll be out of town for quite a while after that. So definitely want to get one more show in before the big trip I have coming up.
Where are you going?
Little road trip, beautiful San Angelo, Texas. See
Nice.
some family, and then up through New Mexico and Colorado.
Oh, cool.
So it'll
Exciting.
be cool.
Yeah.
And the Cleveland show, I forgot. Yeah, they got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is a really cool spot.
Yeah.
So many things to do next year. We got a whole year to plan.
Lots of time to plan. Absolutely.
That's right. Just make it bigger every year.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Well, all right. Unless we have anything else, anything else you'd like to share.
I think I'm good. Great show.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching us. Make sure to follow us on YouTube. And we will very, very likely be back next week. And all of you guys that I met at the National, it was great meeting you.
Yep.
Have a good night, and we'll see you later.
See ya.
Adios.